Smart people are the same thing, are like intelligent people. But the difference is they know how to apply their intelligence to practical situations. Smart cities. That's what I'm here for. Smart cities are urban spaces that generate economic development, that create opportunities for people to have an improved living condition. Smart cities is what cities are using to create identity and build their economic model today. Smart city creates sustainable economic development and high quality of life by excelling in key areas: economy, mobility, the environment, the humans, the government, to name a few. And to extract value from these areas requires human capital, social capital, and maybe technology. An urban area also uses different kinds of sensors to collect data and use the insight generated from this data to drive, to make decisions on how best to manage assets of a city, resources of a city, and all the services efficiently. We can also say smart cities, different steps required to make a city livable and also have some resilience, so that depending on any situation that happens, it could react. What's the characteristics of smart cities? First thing you'll notice about smart cities: efficient use of all physical infrastructure. Those are the things that attract us to the cities. We are allowed to derive value from this infrastructure efficiently. We make efficient use of physical infrastructure to support a strong, healthy economic, social development. Secondly, there is high engagement between the local residents and the government. Residents are brought in with their views on how their community will be developed, designed, governed. It brings in open participation, with emphasis on, cities' institutions supporting the goals of the desires of the residents of that city. Then thirdly, that cities are smart enough to learn, adapt, innovate, and respond effectively and promptly to changing circumstances. These three things are key when we are talking about smart cities. Why do we need smart cities? Cities' growth is creating a lot of inequality. We can look around, look at your city. People are not happy. They're not happy at the services. They're not happy at the structures. They're not happy about so many things. Some people enjoy the city more than the others. So there's an inclusion problem. The political, economic, social environment of that city has been fractured. That's the common theme in all cities we have in Nigeria. Secondly, many citizens distrust elected officials. We don't believe they can represent us, our interests. Look around you. And again, we know about the government bureaucracy. They are not efficient. So that means they don't know how to extract good conditions from their city infrastructure for the residents. What some of you might not understand is that all urban planning results in bad situations, like, for instance, medical conditions like depression. Let's look at Benin, for instance. How many green spaces do you have? Green spaces are there for a reason. What about good housing? Housing designs are meant to consider social behavior, mental health, and all that. But that's not what we have. Depression goes high with areas with poor housing and lack of green spaces. So the good thing is that we know about this, so that there is a solution. So that means we need to intentionally plan our cities. But that's not the only reason why. Smart cities are designed for optimal usage of space and resources with an efficient and optimum distribution of benefits. So there's no inclusion issues. Everybody enjoys the cities equally. Smart city also aims at connecting various levels of citizens with government. So that means government is not too far away from the people in the city. I mean, this sounds alien. It hasn't happened yet. But it shouldn't be. Just wait a bit. Smart cities are meant to be environmental friendly. You are supposed to be guaranteed fresh water. You are meant to be guaranteed security moving from one point to another. You are meant to be guaranteed efficient mobility. These are elements of modern cities used to attract people. So not only to make residents happy, but also to attract people. You've seen this picture before. It's why we are here. I'm here to tell you that the first smart city in the world, Benin City. Everything I've just described, was thought about sometime in the 11th century in this land. It also tells you that we had one of the most intelligent beings from this land. You are seeing a picture of what Benin City looked like when the Portuguese explorer, who were wandering inside all the bushes of Africa, stumbled upon. Remember, these Portuguese came from Lagos. They met their worries. The only thing they could see were water and, homes built on sticks. But here is a city never been seen before, bordered with great walls, biggest archaeological works ever made at that time. Walls that took 150 million man-hours to build. 150 million man-hours. Where did they get those people from? They didn't import foreign engineers. So we had skills, we had knowledge. This town, as you see it in that picture, what you see, that design you see in the picture is called fractals. It was intentional. The reason why fractal was used is so that the city can easily be governed, the city can easily be seen, and the city can be hard to be attacked. You know, the king's palace is in the middle of that city. There is a reason. Fractal is a pattern that repeats itself at various scales. So you see fractals in a lot of our materials, clothes. Okay? But that's not the big thing about fractals. Fractals are used to modern nature. They are used to model nature. We use it to understand nature, like soil erosion, like volcanoes, you know, like understanding relationship between the clouds, you know, the different designs in the clouds. Fractal geometry is what bridges mathematics and information technology. So we are talking about what happened in the 11th century. In Benin City. Think about that for a minute. Now, these Portuguese explorers thought this design was primitive because they didn't understand it. We were far ahead. But they didn't understand. It's because we have this intelligence here. We knew that cities need to be planned so that everybody will be happy, will live well. So houses didn't have doors because nobody thought of stealing because everybody was happy and everybody could afford everything. So there was wealth in the land. Benin houses showed wealth. Walls were marked with a lot of bronze, with a lot of figures depicting things that were going on in the land, you know, warriors, battles, signs of good things. Benin City was the first city in the world that had street light. They had wide streets lined with lights that were hosted up. The lights were powered with palm oil. So they knew we had to have a light street so that people would walk. And the Portuguese explorers said, you know, the streets, you know, you could see houses as far as. So if you look at that diagram, you could see that streets were long and wide, well lit. People could move. Everything was intentional. Benin had galleries, had courthouses. So issues are dealt with. They had judges. There were 11 divisions of Benin City. Each had their own set of judges. So issues were dealt with. It was a peaceful town that had an identity. These people were wild. So first, we need to put into consideration that this intelligence was in Benin City. And it was in the middle of nowhere, in the bush. As at this time these people came here, Benin City was bigger than Lisbon, which was, you know, capital of Portugal. Benin was cleaner than Paris, safer than London. London was known for bandits. They were just thieving, stealing. But not Benin. So they had a city, they had an identity. And the Europeans saw that identity and they decided to trade on that identity. Benin people are known for something. They are known for their bronzes, they are known for their ivory, known for their copper, and known for pepper, because these were of interest to them. So the Benin City entered the global trade. Now, these things were the things that gave them wealth. Remember, we had engineers that built the city, probably maintained it. And he had things that he was producing. And Portuguese came into Benin. An intelligent city with intelligent people, wealthy, They had an identity. Next thing, because of the trade, so Portuguese were providing us guns. They brought more brass for us because Benin didn't have enough metal. So there was something they called, there was a manila, a bangle that, a brass bangle that they sold, which also helped to increase the number of amount of brass needed, for the metal works. So metal work started booming. So Benin was rich, very rich, was in global trade for close to 300-400 years. This city existed for over 400 years. By the time the story about Benin City went around the world, every Tom, Dick, and Harry from every country in the world came to Benin. And actually, that's where the downfall started. So it brought in a lot of internal conflicts. I think with the slave trade, that didn't help matters. There were a lot of conflict, and it culminated into the British invasion that destroyed Benin. What you're seeing on the screen is just a small piece of a fractal design. It's intentional. The Europeans started dealing with fractals in the 17th century. Benin had already started doing that in the 11th century. You see a moat. That's a moat. Moats were used to surround the whole city as well as the interlocked rural areas as well. This is somebody's pencil sketch of how the city was as at the 17th century. So, like we've talked, the Great Wall of China was nowhere near the Great Wall of Benin. But, we don't talk about the Great Wall of Benin these days. What impressed the Europeans were the wealth, the artistic beauty, and the magnificence of the city. I need us to hold that 3 points: artistic beauty, the wealth, and the magnificence of the city, to think about how Benin should be. Now we are in the 21st century. Benin presently is the 6th largest city in Nigeria, with a population of 1.7 million. But tell you what, in the year 2000, there were 970,000 residents here. So in 20 years, Benin City has doubled its population. The question is, within that year, did you create enough resources to take care of the new residents? Right now we have rural-urban migration. In the year 2050, 60% of people will be living in rural areas. So we need to take that into consideration. That's why we need our cities to be planned. We did it in the 11th century. Why can't we do it in the 21st century? And also in 1980, we were only 335,000 people in Benin City. So you can see how population is exploding. Think about it. How many new roads have you created since 1980? So you see that there is a problem. Okay? Now, Benin is known for its bronzes, ivory, wood carvings, and it has an organized craft society. So we need to take that into consideration when designing the new Benin. And let's create, a new identity, create a new city that will bring us back to our former glory, if not surpass it. Okay? So this is a center for timber, rubber, and palm oil. Research, production, processing plants. We have everything. So that means source of wealth is high. And remember, we have sawmills, and we have the furniture, a big furniture market. So we can upgrade our present infrastructure using sensors, generate data, and manage city assets much better. We can create a smarter Benin. Okay? The first Benin was a smart Benin. Technology does not make humans smart. It only makes us smarter. So we need to now use technology to make ourselves smarter. The first time we used our brain to create a very smart Benin. So now we need a smarter Benin that would offer better quality for the residents and visitors, economic competitiveness to attract industry and talent, an environmental conscious focus on sustainability, attract and create knowledge. We had, remember, our local engineers built the walls and all the structures. So there was talent. Then attract significant amount of foreign investment. Now, I need us to note this thing I'm about to say. Population growth and economic activity are increasingly concentrated in cities in the whole world, okay? For instance, London attracts 28% GDP in UK. So that means people are not thinking so much about country, they're thinking about city, where their investments are going to be. Like in Canada, Toronto and Montreal holds 28% of Canadian GDP. So that means city is an attraction. 80% of international trade are organized by multinational enterprises. So all you need in Benin is to attract multinational enterprises to come to Benin. Remember, we're going to create and attract knowledge. We have universities, research centers, we have our rubber, palm oil, name it, okay? Now, another key thing is that 57 global cities account for 40% of all the research happening in the world today. It's not hard for Benin to achieve this. So we should be intentional in trying to make Benin better, and we'll create the greatest city on earth. Thank you.